This is the first line written in one of the Columbine shooters' journal, Eric Harris. You may be asking, how does one get to this point? Although there is no clear motive, many experts pinpointed it to 5 major things: their home life, school life, music of the era, video games, and what was going on in the world at the time. Harris was born on April 9, 1981, in Wichita, Kansas. The son of an Air Force pilot, Harris moved around several times as a child. While living in Plattsburgh, New York, he seemed like a regular kid, playing Little League baseball. In 1993, his family moved to Littleton, Colorado, after his father retired from the military. Many that knew him at the time said he slowly started to change, becoming a very angry kid. Dealt with severe anger issues, possibly abuse/neglect from his parents. Klebold, the other shooter involved, was born on September 11, 1981, in Lakewood, Colorado. His father was a geophysicist, and his mother worked with the disabled. His parents eventually started their own real estate management company and provided an upper-middle-class life for their family. Although most people knew, he had a perfect home life. School is where most of their problems occurred. Kids would never invite Harris over for parties or other things. Kids looked down upon him as the quote-unquote weird kid, and written in his journal, "Don't let that weird kid Eric come along. Oh f***ing God, no." He was also conflicted between love and killing, wanting to see people die. Klebold suffered from being picked on a lot for his appearance. His main conflict was with himself and love. As written in his journal, "I am full of love, yet nobody wants it. I wanted happiness, but never got it." He was fixated on loving someone, having someone special, but never got that opportunity, sadly. He only went along with the whole plan in hopes of dying. The two didn't fit in with the dominant jock culture of Columbine. Always being bullied developed them a hatred of school. The two adopted the style of the school's outcast clique, the Trenchcoat Mafia, a campus group of losers and sort of worshipping goths wearing long coats and dark clothing and looking unkempt. Some of Eric's references and purchases include the notable ones being 9 Inch Nails and Enya, and some of Dylan's are notable ones being the Smashing Pumpkins, Alice in Chains, and The Offspring. While their lists overlap to a degree, Dylan was more into experimental/electronic stuff, and Eric was a bit more into industrial metal. After the shooting, music was heavily taken into account in encouraging/motivating this type of behavior, while bands like Rammstein and KMFDM, which both were huge fans of, a lot of their hats and shirts being their merch, they both got lots of hate. Yet, the media mainly pointed at Marilyn Manson. This brought a lot of attention to him and his band. Early media reports alleged that Eric and Dylan were fans and were wearing the group's t-shirts during the massacre. But these claims were later to be proven false. Yet news outlets continued to run sensationalist stories. Speculation in national media and among the public led many to believe that Manson's music and imagery were the shooter's sole motivation, despite reports that revealed that the two were not fans and on the contrary had nothing but contempt for the music. The media just needed a scapegoat, and in the years prior to the incident, the confrontal nature of the group's music and imagery outraged social conservatives, making them an easy target. Doom, one of the most significant games in video game history, frequently cited as one of the greatest games ever made. It sold an estimated 3.5 million copies by 1999. Between 10 and 20 million people are estimated to have played it within the first 2 years of launch, and in the late 1995, it was estimated to be installed on more computers worldwide than Microsoft's then new operating system, Windows 95. Its graphic violence and supposed hellish imagery drew controversy from groups such as Parents and the News. Doom, alongside Quake, Duke Nukem 3D, and Postal, other FPSs, are the known games that the boys truly played, and like many others, they loved them but maybe for other reasons. Those who played Doom over the internet with Harris say he created a game mode based on Columbine High School's floor plan. Investigators in a center in Los Angeles which flags hateful and racist websites have uncovered several homemade versions of Doom found on Harris's now-defunct website. The versions include a God mode in which heavily armed players are invincible to enemy bullets. Harris also thanks Dylan for his help in creating the hyped-up levels. Doom is basically a game of skill and a game of competition. The version found on Harris's website is not a game of skill. It's a game of massacre. Some may argue that violence is a prominent theme in video games and that the first-person shooter games that do center around violence actually benefit society, mainly because they give young males a way to vent their antisocial impulses without harming anyone. But that's simply not the case. Some events in the first few months of 1999 before the shooting were the notable ones being the impeachment trial of President Bill Clinton and the NATO attack on Yugoslav Serb Republic. With shows like The Sopranos and Family Guy coming out showcasing violent and inappropriate behaviors, the Bill Clinton controversy with Monica Lewinsky, natural disasters, and the attack on Yugoslavia, the world was in an awkward place with a lot of controversy taking place in America. April 20th, 1999, high school seniors Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold murdered 12 students and a teacher. 21 others were wounded. The total death toll was 15 as the boys went along with unaliving themselves after. At the time, it was the deadliest mass shooting at a high school in the US, until it was surpassed by the Parkland shooting in 2018. The event unfolded on live TV, launching the country into a new era and new century of school shooting coverage. The shooting resulted in calls for more gun control measures. In 2000, federal and state legislation was introduced that would require safety locks on firearms, as well as the ban of importation of high-capacity ammunition magazines. Though laws were passed that made it a crime to buy guns for criminals and minors, there was considerable controversy over legislation pertaining to background checks at gun shows. There was concern in the gun lobby over restrictions on Second Amendment rights in the United States. Frank Leutenberg introduced a proposal to close the gun show loophole in federal law. It was passed in the Senate but did not pass in the House. This isn't unusual though. State gun control laws always surge after high-profile mass shootings. Prime example, the Parkland shooting had Florida pass 9 laws that tightened gun rights. Police followed a traditional tactic at Columbine: surround the building, set a perimeter, and contain the damage. That approach has been replaced by a tactic known as the immediate action rapid deployment tactic. This tactic calls for a 4-person team to advance into the site of any ongoing shooting, optimally a diamond-shaped wedge, but even with just a single officer if more are not available. Police officers using this tactic are trained to move towards the sound of gunfire and neutralize the shooter as quickly as possible. Their goal is to stop the shooter at all costs. They are to walk past wounded victims as the aim is to prevent the shooter from killing or wounding more. This tactic has been proven to be more effective. But in 2022 at Robb Elementary, police officers waited more than an hour and 14 minutes on site before breaching the classroom to engage the shooter, former student 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. Because of this, he was left with the time to end the lives of 19 students and 2 teachers, while leaving 17 others injured. So while there have been improvements, nothing has truly changed. Anyone who has visited a US school in recent years knows that the process of entering a school building has become an effort. All outside doors are locked, and most schools take your picture and log your name and identification, as well as the timestamp of your arrival and departure. It's a coordinated effort that's not only a part of increasing schools' building security, but also controlling access to students, teachers, and administrators. The immediate reaction post-Columbine was an increase in physical safety measures. In 1999, only 1 in 5 schools used security cameras for video surveillance. Today, 3 out of 5 schools use security cameras now. Some have also added metal detectors and X-ray machines. Along with physical safety measures, teachers have taken active and often public stands in protecting their students and preventing future school shootings by demanding active shooter training and emergency drills. Schools are responding. According to the Education Department National Center for Education Statistics, nearly every public school in the US now conducts lockdown safety drills. Today, teachers are instructed to act as the very first responders. They are taught to call 911 to notify the police and then act to protect their students. Of course, not all the attacks can entirely be blamed on Eric and Dylan. They are just the ones who paved the way for future shooters. The copycat phenomenon is only one piece of a complex equation. School shootings can be related to bullying and harassment. They have roots in the consumption of violent media, in toxic hypermasculinity, in the availability of guns, childhood trauma, but there is no question that Columbine has helped inspired shooters for the past 24 years. Take Sebastian Bose, who attacked his former school in Eppstein, Germany in 2006 wearing a long black coat and carrying 2 rifles, a pistol, and homemade bombs. He wrote in his diary, "Eric Harris is God." Song Hee Chow, who killed 32 people at Virginia Tech in 2007, called Harris and Klebold martyrs, and handed in an English paper saying he wanted to repeat Columbine. Adam Lazan, who killed 26 people at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012, was obsessed with Columbine and kept hundreds of documents and videos about it. Killian Barbary, 17, who injured 8 people when he opened fire in 2017 at a high school in southern French city of Greece, had been watching videos of Columbine shooters shortly before his attack. But Harris and Klebold weren't the first school shooters, nor the last, nor even the most deadly. So why is Columbine the influence? Many people blame the media, which aired weeks of relentless Columbine coverage and made the killers famous. It was the first school shooting to become a giant 24-hour news cycle story and therefore served as a historical marker for those that followed. It was well documented by videos and writings by the perpetrators, which became available on the internet. So then, what is at fault? Eric and Dylan were huge fans of bowling, both being enrolled in a bowling class at school and a part of a bowling league. When they first met in middle school, bowling and online games is what brought them closer. The morning before the shooting, they allegedly spent their last hours at a bowling alley, where they bowled 2 games. Shown in some home movies they shot together, they practiced shooting on bowling pins as well. Bowling causes a lot of stress and anger on players, which just expanded on Eric and Dylan's hatred for the world, putting them deeper into the gutter and only feeling despair.
7 frames. Strike here is up 10 pins. 10 pins.
Man, Jesus Christ!
I looked up intensity in the dictionary, and I saw a picture of Pete.
Yet, bowling alleys are still open to this day, and more than 45 million people still go bowling annually, showing in this chart from 2017. So, what does this mean? The answer is simple. Bowling turns people into active shooters.